All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Mindy and I are excited to be here with you today to talk about creating an intentional plan for 2022. This would not be possible without the good work of our sponsors. Sorry about that. Regions, Protective, Blue Cross, Alabama Power, UAB, and all of our other sponsors. We are so grateful for what they allow us to do at Momentum, and putting on webinars like this is only one of the things that they allow us to do. So we are grateful for all of them. I am Andrea Mccaskey, and I have been leading training in a human resources learning and development space for more than 3 decades. So I have a lot of wisdom. That's what that means. As I said, my background's in human resources. I started out, however, as a banker in commercial banking in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm from. Loved it. It just was not the work for me. I really love what Mindy and I are going to share with you today, because I tend to keep a lot of plates circulating in the air, and intentionally planning is the only way that I keep them all spinning. Mindy?
Hey. So for me, it was interesting when I was talking to Andrea about my bio. I know what I do. However, it wouldn't have been possible if I wouldn't have tried to figure out this in a way with these types of tips, productivity tips. So I was on this journey, not really knowing where I was going. And when I started to get really clear about what it was that I wanted to do, this became a very important tool for me. And we were wondering, are there people out there who need this help? And clearly, with the response we've had today, it is apparent that there are many of us who need help. So we're going to dive right in and share about this program, share heads down time. We want you to really get in there and focus. This is time for you. You made this commitment to you. So we want to make sure that we honor that. And we're giving you tools to help you plan an intentional 2022. So just a couple of housekeeping notes. During those times of checking out, which are going to be brain dump, highlighting the projects that you want to work on, and then prioritizing that project, feel free to just be silent, turn off screens, however that works best for you. And with this information, we want to make sure that we are giving you value. So at the end of this workshop, we have a survey, and we would really appreciate it if you would give us your feedback. So as we move forward and do this work, you will be able to help us create that outline. So we want to know, why did you sign up? What was it that when you received the newsletter from Momentum made you say, you know what, I want to register for this webinar? What we would like you to do and recommend is write it down on a piece of paper and set it to the side. Keep it on a little Post-it note, something that you can refer back to help you continue to move forward. And this is the time not to get in the weeds. We just like to hear the what, not the how. And if you would like to share in the chat, we would love for you to type that in. If you see something that resonates with you, you can do, I think it's the hands up or applause reaction, and then we'll highlight a few of those. So take a few minutes to add that to the chat, please.
So we know you signed up because you wanted to get some important tips on how to be productive, but we want to make sure that we're giving you what you need. So let's see in the chat what you're hoping to accomplish here today in our time together. Stop feeling the tires are spinning in the mud. I get it, Lauren. I really do.
Can we get an amen?
Yeah.
Oh, ma'am.
Say it again, Lauren.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go. Want to do better, be better, do better. Frequently so busy you don't make time to be intentional. We'll talk about that one. Looking forward to a fresh start in 2022. Paige has got a lot of things going on over the next 6 months, and she wants to be intentional and proactive about the expenditure of her resources. That's great. I love that. Be focused and prioritize the right things. We'll talk about that a little bit. Being proactive and not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
I like create an actionable plan. That is great. All right.
Thank you for sharing.
So now that we have talked about what we came here to do and what you really want to get out of this, now we want to celebrate, because at Momentum, we believe in celebrating all the things. Everything is a celebration for us. I don't think celebrating is something we do as often as perhaps we could or should. So I'm hopeful that you will join in with us and celebrate. We'll have 2 or 3 times to celebrate during our time together. Just some tips on ways you can celebrate yourself. Maybe there's some special chocolate that you like. And once you advance a portion of the way into your plan, you eat a piece of that chocolate to celebrate. Perhaps it is you've been heads down in your work for 45 minutes and you want to take a refreshing walk around the block. That is a celebration as well. Maybe you just want to take a really nice warm bath with lots of bubble bath to celebrate that you completed what you were doing. Whatever that celebration is, and here in the Momentum office, it is often a dance break. If you ever happen to come by in the afternoon, we might look a little silly doing our dance break, but it really does help in that afternoon slump. So whatever your celebration is, let's celebrate the fact that you showed up today, because we're excited to have you here with us.
Okay, so the first order of business, we want you to clear your head, do a brain dump. We want you to get this all out of your brain so you can be intentional about the commitment you are making to yourself. If you're thinking about that holiday party grocery list, or the cupcakes you need to make for your child's party, or that end of year project, we want you to take it out of your brain and either write it down or put it in an imaginary box, because we want you to be able to focus on what we are sharing with you today. That is really important. Our brains get so crowded with all of the things we're working on. That is why we're doing the work that we're doing, getting it out of your head so you can see it and you can make movement forward. So we want you to take about 5 minutes and get all of those thoughts out of your head.
So this brain dump is really a way for you to, as Mindy said, set it aside and write it down so you can come back to it. It's not that you'll never do those things, but you can come back to them. And it might be what's going around in your head is, man, I didn't know we were going to do that on this webinar. Or it could be what's going around in your head. I'm really happy I showed up today, but there are 29 other things I could be doing right now. Write some of those 29 down so you can get back to them. We'll give you just another minute or 2 to get that done. All right. One of the other things that we love to do around here at Momentum is to remind each other to breathe. So we're going to take just a few minutes right now and settle in and get ready to do the productive work that you came to do. What I'd like you to do, if you're comfortable, is just close your eyes wherever you are, or gaze softly in front of you and just breathe. Take 1 or 2 really deep breaths, and then just allow your body to breathe as it needs to. It's beautiful how our bodies work and that they know what we need when we need it. And what we have to do, or what we can choose to do, is just to focus in on what our bodies are telling us. So with your eyes closed, I'd like for you to think about a project you've recently completed or a goal that you've recently achieved. Think about it in as much detail as you can, how long it took, who was involved. If you had a big presentation, maybe you remember what you wore. It could be your holiday card, and all the people in the picture stood just right and smiled just right. You got it to the printer in time to get it returned back to you so that you could print out all the labels or handwrite them. Some of you are ambitious and handwrite your labels. You got it stamped and into the mailbox in time to get to folks for the holiday that you wanted them to know you were thinking about them. That's an accomplishment. It could be a work project. It could be like me, you cleaned the clutter out of your closet last weekend and you want to get excited about that. It might be you made dinner last night and you don't often make dinner for the people in your house. That is an accomplishment. So think about whatever that is. And now consider how you felt once you've completed that task. Once you've reached that goal, what did you feel? Excitement? A sense of accomplishment? Was there somewhere in your body that felt lighter, or that you had any sensation at all because you had accomplished what you set out to accomplish? I know for me, in cleaning out my closet, I literally felt lighter. It felt as though a load had been lifted from my shoulders. And I'm not quite done, but getting even halfway to my goal was a reason for celebration. What we want to do in our time with you today is help you determine how you can continually recreate those feelings, those great feelings of accomplishment, that lightness that you might feel when you have gotten rid of some clutter or done what you said you would do. That's what we want you to recognize in our next few minutes together. Take another couple of deep breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Mindy?
As Andrea and I were organizing this agenda, we kept noticing overarching themes. And so you should have received a link to this document, which is productivity tips. And it's great to refer to these as you are doing your work and this heads down work that you'll be doing today and going forward to build your consistent practice, because it will become a practice and consistency will be key. And these will help to ground you to continue to move you forward. So number one on our list always, as Andrea mentioned earlier, is reward yourself for completing a task. It helps to build that impetus toward your goal and the completion of your goal, because you feel this reward, and it's okay to do that reward for yourself. Maybe you need to partner with somebody to help you feel that way and say, you know what? You did a great job and I appreciate what you have done. So you may want to partner with somebody to help you feel better and to celebrate. Be intentional and carve out time on your calendar. That is so key in moving the needle forward on your projects. In the productivity tips, we talk about the location. Is it best to work in your office, at the kitchen island, or on the floor spread out in your living room? We're trying today to give you that gift of a space that you can come to so you can carve out time for yourself. And believe you can do it. Over and over and over again today, we will talk about that. Believe you can do it. Get that end image in your mind, and you will feel so much more accomplished than you did at the beginning of this workshop. So really believe you can do it. And the best tip I can give you, hopefully you've printed it out or you have a screen open where you can keep that to the side. We are going to be using this throughout the rest of the workshop. So we will talk about for the next few minutes, and then we're going to give you 15 minutes of heads down time. What will you do in 2022? What is your plan for the end of the year? What are projects that you are working on that need tending to, that you are pulling out of your brain to start moving them forward? And what we are asking is that out of all the projects you have, you may have 10, 20, or 50. Everybody has a different number. We would like you to prioritize 1 to 3, because later on, we're going to ask you to focus on that one. So really, as you're moving through, think of the ones that are most important to you so you can work on that one. Categories of work for your projects may include family, work. They may include personal growth or health. Andrea and I were talking, she has a couple of goals, a work and a personal, and I also have the same. I am working on expo outreach for our nonprofit community partners. It's something I haven't done before. And so I'm finding that balance between my mentoring work, which is very important to me, and this new project that I'll be working on. So I will need to commit to my calendar those tasks that will help to move that needle forward. And I have a personal goal. We are selling our home. So I'll need to do a little negotiation with the people in my household to make sure that our move is seamless. And Andrea?
So my goal, my important goal is cleaning out the garage in my house. And most of the things in that garage belong to my husband. And so I will need to learn to negotiate with him to move some of the clutter, his clutter. I don't have clutter, his clutter out of the garage. I do certainly have work goals that I'm working toward, the programs that we do here at Momentum, our conference that's coming up. So there are lots of things that I am being very intentional about on my calendar for 2022. And even for the end of 2021, it's hard to believe we've got less than 3 weeks left. So there's some goals I want to finish for this year as well. But we want to give you 15 minutes now of uninterrupted time. What we hope that you will do is commit this time to yourself. Be intentional. Write down all your goals, every project you want to accomplish, and then prioritize the top 1 to 3 of those goals. All right? And so we're going to be quiet for 15 minutes so that you can do that.
So we want to make sure that you are moving forward. We ourselves make assumptions that you have it all figured out. So if you have any questions, any tips that you need to help get you started, please post that in the chat. We would be happy to help you get unstuck and to get those, get out of the mud, Lauren. So if you need any guidance, we are here. So let us know if we can do anything. And when we finish up with this time, we are going to get a temperature check on how this felt and really have a discussion about it. Thank you. So we have some questions and some requests So for those of you who don't want to hear this, who are, smooth sailing with your list, go ahead and mute yourself so we're not interrupting you. So Willie Mae said that she would like some tips. Where are you starting? What projects do you have? Can you give me some context? And you can unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm in the tax department. I work on audits and things of that nature a lot. And sometimes researching how I have to research, I have to have help from everybody in the bank to get my information that I need. But I got to get it organized before I send it to the auditor, what he or she needs. And along with my other daily responsibilities, how to keep that prioritized and still flowing good throughout the day.
That's good. And Hallie also said she's having trouble prioritizing because everything is super important. Any tips on how to decide? So we'll talk about those two right now, prioritizing. In a work setting, oftentimes someone else sets your priorities for you. And so going to them sometimes asking, what is it that is most important that I accomplished today or this week? Helping the people who are giving you the priorities, put them in priority order for you might be a way of doing that. Hallie, you may have to make some tough choices. Everything is really important or can feel like it's really important, but think about it in this way. I'll give you one example. I had a list of things that I wanted to accomplish. And one of those things on that list was sewing a quilt for my daughter's college graduation. As you might imagine, all of the items that needed to be sewn into a quilt stayed on my dining room table for a year. It was important that she have the quilt. It was not important that I do the sewing. I wanted her to have it, so I found someone else who could do that for me. So maybe you delegate something. The garage cleaning out, I have a space to put my car, so that is not high on my priority list. It is on my husband's, but it's not really high on my list. So that's something that I can put off. Or I could ask someone to come in and help him do that with him. Perhaps you'll have to decide what means the most to you. How will you feel once something is completed? And if that feeling is not something that you care a whole lot about, or something else makes you feel better, or you feel more attached to it, that might be your answer.
And I also have something to add. In that prioritizing, what is the timing for each of those projects? Is there something that takes priority because it needs to be done next weekend or next month? So you can have a hierarchy there. Also, once you start with this singular project that we're going to ask you to do, then what happens is you get that finished and you have time for the other one because you're building this consistency to bring this project to completion. So you can prioritize because less time will pass where, you have been having these swirling thoughts and now you have more control over what that outcome will be. Okay. Love that recommendation page. I don't know if Andrea just said that. Is there any other question that you have? Any other questions? We're happy to answer them.
We got about 5 more minutes of heads down time.
30 seconds. And then if you would come back to us, please. Okay. We want to know, how did that feel? And something I'd like to mention in sharing this, whether you unmute yourselves or put that in a chat, can help others, just like the questions you had in the chat earlier. This is a collective. This is a collaboration. That I love the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. So if you have any feedback to give to us, critical or not, we'd love to hear it. Felt productive. Thank you, Casey. Anxious. Okay. Tell me more about that, Lauren.
Just the realization of getting it all out of my head and putting it down on paper and looking at it in totality of all the things. It's recognizing I'm setting myself up for failure, and that there's 24 hours in a day. The math just doesn't go.
Right. Right. And that's interesting. You chose to say setting yourself up for failure when it was up here. And now that you are getting it out and setting an action plan to it, that feels reversed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you're working towards success. It's that mindset shift.
Yep.
And we want you to feel like these tips that we're sharing are opening you up to overcome those frustrations and the feeling of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I hear you. It's overwhelming. That's why I avoided it for so long. I feel hopeful. Again, Katie felt like it was overwhelming. I know I can do this. I feel better for 2022. That is great. Some time to pick my top 3, but I decided to focus on those items that gave me that exhilarating feeling that you discussed at the beginning, not just relief or weight off. I decided that those will come after I have the exhilarating accomplishments first. That's great, Catherine. Thank you. Would you share, when you say exhilarating feeling, would you share what that means to you? Would you unmute yourself?
Well, so I'm really good at making a laundry list of things, and I carry so many burdens, not just for things I want to accomplish for me, but that I want to help accomplish for my family and those sorts of things. But when I thought about they're probably like more personal, that I really want to spend intentional special time with friends and my spouse. Like for me, even just like a special coffee or a meal out just like gets me excited about a whole week. And so making time to do some of those special moments is really important for me, but you really have to plan those. And then for me, learning a new skill or something new and putting my shoulders down and letting me kind of relax and try something new and kind of fail and learn and grow, just trying some new things. That's important to me. And traveling, because I've not been traveling for a few years now because of COVID, like thinking of something special and working towards a special trip is really important to me right now. And even though I had a long list of new business goals and personal things that I'd like to have happen at my home, I thought those things are going to help me feel lighter and take some weight off, because I do think about them all the time. But these other things are things that give me a lot of freedom and, kind of expand my vision. And so I want to focus on those first.
I like that. And I like that you are making time for the things that matter, that aren't necessarily work or project related. The time with your spouse, that's important to fuel yourself with those pieces of who makes up you. And if you are trying to do this work and pouring from an empty cup, it will, you will fall flat very quickly. So that's really, I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you so much.
Thanks for prying it out of me, Mindy.
Yeah. Yeah. Commit to do one thing a day towards your goal, keeping in mind that it does not have to be a big thing. Keep in mind that doubt increases with inaction. Clarity reveals itself in momentum. Growth and peace comes from forward motion and progress. So for all those reasons, begin. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Anwada.
Yeah, I just speaking candidly here, in June, I turned 50 and I found myself being without a job, dealing with a lot of uneasiness and fear. But it also gave me an opportunity to reimagine how I utilize my skills and talents and what's important to me. And so I want to encourage everybody out there, everybody that's listening, to keep that movement and to choose happy. A lot of times I felt like what God was asking me to do, instead of me filling my life and my days with regrets and guilt, but to turn around and look at it differently as to what I have. And to allow him, just to move me in that place of peace, because God has created all of us with talents. He never leaves you. He never forsakes you. And so within you is everything that you need in order to get to that place of peace. I also recently became a life coach. And so when I hear about all the different priorities, sometimes you just have to kind of look at your life as a circle, figure out the areas that you want to work on first, and then focus on those, making those small incremental steps. But it's so important along the way that you give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of mercy, and you breathe and remain in the present and the beauty of the day. And just recently, I've also just made a choice, and I want to continue this, to continue to be thankful. And the last thing I'll just say, several years ago, back in, I think, October 2014, I decided not to look at everything as a New Year's resolution, but I decided to celebrate everything in terms of my birth year. So my birthday is June 10th. And at one time I was regretting getting older, but I thought about, no, this is a time to celebrate, because there's so many other people that have lost their lives.
Sure.
Or they're not able to read or think or do different things that I'm blessed to be able to do. And even those that may not have that, they're still able to find joy. And so when you take a forward look at your birthday and at every single day, it just gives you a lot of positivity. And to think about, this is my year of life. What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? And then just make sure that you're very patient with yourself as you manage your energy, because we are so concerned with time that we forget that what we really need to be thinking about is our energy. So let's make sure that things are productive, that we're doing things that give us energy, that brings us joy, and then we begin to pursue those things.
Thank you. Love that. You've got control.
All right. Well, we're experiencing just a skosh of technical difficulty getting the slides to move to the next one. We're not done, so don't go away. Apologize for this. All right, here we are. Roadblocks. They happen to all of us at one time or another. An obstacle gets in your way. It could be something that just comes up that you weren't expecting, or it could be something that happens every time you start a project. For me, there are projects that I get started on that perhaps are things that are new, that I'm not accustomed to doing. And so I have to play the mindset game of, you've been successful in the past at doing things that are new. This is the first time perhaps you've done this, but it does not mean that you cannot do it. And so I do some mindset work. I think about where is that coming from? What is that roadblock setting me up for? And what happens if I choose to move beyond it? So what I want you to think about right now are what are some of your roadblocks? What things either A, always come up when you try to start something new, or what are some of the things you think might happen? When we're proactive about considering what could get in our way, then we can be more prepared for when those opportunities come, when those challenges we're faced with those challenges, and then we can better move beyond them. Occasionally, I sit with something. Especially when I keep running up against the same kind of obstacle, the same kind of roadblock, I'll sit with it and see what that emotion really is. Is it fear? Is it frustration? What really is it? And I can sit with that, see if I feel anything anywhere in my body. Is there a heaviness in my chest? Do I feel more tension in my back or in my gut? And just process through those feelings, just work through them, sit in it for just a little while, and then move beyond it. Think about when I have been successful at something, when I have reached a goal, and those great feelings I'll have once I reach these goals. So think about what some of your obstacles are, what you anticipate them being, and pop those into the chat for us, and we'll address a couple of them. No one has obstacles. I love that. Inability to say no to those asking for my time. So again, I think that's a mindset issue, don't you, Mindy? Is an opportunity to say what's going to make you feel your best. What's going to give you the best return on your investment of time? And perhaps you can help those you are saying no to find a different resource for what it is they want. Oftentimes, if I'm asked to be on a board of a nonprofit and it's not something I'm particularly passionate about, then I will say, I'm not able to do that at this time, but let me see who I can find that might be the perfect fit for you. So maybe it is just helping them find other resources for what they need.
And making that decision, the inability to say no of those asking for your time. It's hard if you're a people pleaser and you want everybody to feel good. So you put their best interest ahead of yours. So making that decision to do for you, again, it goes back to pouring from an empty cup. If you allow people to take from you, they will keep taking, and you need to set your boundaries.
All right, I see fear, laziness, self-talk, prioritizing when everything is important and getting overwhelmed and paralyzed. Again, I really believe that comes with the self-talk and the fear. Those are things that can stop you. However, if you choose affirmations, which is something I'm working toward now, is looking in the mirror and telling myself, I love you, and yes, you can do this. Daily positive affirmations to yourself about your capabilities. You know you're capable. You would not be on this call if you were not capable of getting done what you want to get done. And I used to, I don't anymore, but I used to think of the time that I spent. I have this chair in my den that I sit in a lot after work. And yes, I do binge Hallmark Christmas movies a lot in that chair. However, that time is regrouping time for me. It's thinking time for me. So I no longer call it laziness. I call that recharge. Now, yeah, I can overdo it. That's true. But within reason, that's not wasted time. That's time that I'm spending recharging my batteries. I'm an introvert, so having that away from other people time really allows my brain to think better. So when I come back into the work, I'm better prepared. I hope those were helpful. And Mia, great that you are helping your family look for other resources. Boundaries are very important. Yes, they are. All right. We are now going to celebrate one more time. So what I'd like you to do, Mindy and I have this 30-second dance break that Catherine gifted to us. And so we're only going to do our dance break for a few seconds because it can be kind of ugly. But then we want to hear how you celebrate, how you're going to celebrate where we are in this process. So here we go.
30-second dance party. People, are you ready? Are you ready?
Okay, we're done with that. That can get funny. It's real fun. What are some ways that you celebrate? What are some ways that you celebrate? Y'all are laughing at us. I'm telling you, you should come by the Momentum office sometime at Pepper Place between 2 and 3. A dance break could break out at any moment. Chocolate, ooh, we love chocolate, especially with caramel. And some people like it with that sea salt on top. That's a great way. Coffee, treats, those are wonderful. Any other celebrations? Playing with your pets. Oh, Lauren runs, that's great. Laughing out loud, I love that. Did you all know there's something called laugh yoga?
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware, but I've done it at least once. It's really kind of fun.
Okay. Whew. Now I got my blood pumping, feeling really good. And of course, we're mentioning all the things that we like. So when you come to our office, you'll come bearing gifts. So thank you so much for participating with us, because sometimes those are the moments you need to release and let go, and they help you to clear your head and get back to the work that you're doing. With that being said, it's time to take another 15 minutes. This is that one project that we asked you to prioritize, and we are giving you heads down time to work and bring that project to completion. What are the tasks that will support your overall goal? Now is the time to get into the weeds. So we want you to think about the timing. We were talking earlier about everything felt like a priority. However, there hopefully are items that don't have that sense of urgency because they're not due tomorrow or next week. 2022 is around the corner. So really think about the timing. Also, committing them to your calendar. This may feel overwhelming and messy. It felt very overwhelming to me. I was almost, stopped in my tracks trying to think of putting all of this in my calendar and it popping up with notifications that I have to take care of this particular task to move me forward with expo planning or with my move. So Google Calendar is a great way to allocate those time blocks. And we mean get really specific, just like Catherine was mentioning. She is allocating a time block for spending time with her family. That is very important. So this goes back to all of the obstacles that you have been sharing with us, and we're so appreciative. This is helping you build that consistency muscle. Each and every time we take this break of 15 minutes to give you that heads down time, you are going to have a different thought about the work that you're doing than you did the previous 15 minutes. And you'll start to see patterns. And each one of these time blocks will help you to get more specific and get closer to your goal and what will support that and what can support you. Finished is better than perfect. We want you to get this all out of your head. This is an intentional act that we are asking you to do. The beautiful part of all of this, when you start putting it into your calendar, you get to see it come to life. You get to see that vision of, oh my gosh, I see, I want to clean out my garage. I have spoken to my husband about his responsibility in this project. And so you start seeing those pieces come together, and then you start to see the end. Again, like we did before, if you have any roadblocks that you are meeting against while you are diving into that one project, whether it's how to prioritize or some tips on how to move you forward, we are here, and you can type that in the chat. So if you want to get really heads down, mute yourself, and we are giving you 15 minutes. Thank you. So that's a great question, Felicia. Are we prioritizing for the projects we will tackle first, or what is most important to us overall? I feel like either one of those can work, not to be non-committal. Because of what you're going to tackle first, I feel like that is the one to work on. So you're really getting action on this, and you're getting the feedback from everybody else and able to apply these tips. And for the most important one, you're building up this momentum to apply all of these tips to that particular project. So you can think about those tasks. You will have practice in allocating time on your calendar. So that's would be my recommendation.
All right. So did you get it all done? Got all your tasks for that one project, that one goal written down and on your calendar? I know you did. Remember, get them on your calendar. And that means the detail, like I want to contact Andrea Mccaskey about the next time they're going to do this workshop, but I don't have her email address. Well, who are you going to get that from? That needs to go on your, as one of your tasks. I need to get with Mindy to get Andrea's email address. We want you to get to that level of detail, because those are the things it takes to really get your project done, to move it forward. And remember, done is better than perfect. I can be very guilty of falling into the perfection trap. And most times nothing's really perfect, and getting things done is really what needs to happen. So that's one thing to remember. And now let's talk a bit about accountability. Certainly you can get an accountability partner, someone who just tells you, or you report to, I'm on track, I'm not on track. You set up your accountability however you want to. And another way to consider accountability is being accountable to yourself. Do you have your own back? These are things you want to do. These are feelings you want to feel. And so, do you have your own back? Since we're talking about feelings, let's somebody unmute and tell me how you're feeling right now. And if you want to share in the chat, you can do that as well. So how are you? How is it feeling?
It feels good, Andrea.
Good. Very good.
This has been very helpful to kind of go through and take a moment, breathing in and out. It was fun to celebrate during the dance time, and to really start thinking through December and what my goals will be for the upcoming year. So this has been very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Great. I'm glad it's been helpful. You may feel a little something now in that you didn't feel before, a sense of accomplishment. And that's great. We hope that you do.
Definitely. And I want you to know in that putting it on your calendar, I think of my own experience when I first started doing this. As I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be perfect if you haven't done it before. So give yourself some grace, try it, and look at those tasks that support that and how you can add those to your calendar. I like the accountability piece. I like what Andrea mentioned, that we can be accountable to ourselves. And if you would like, these people who have shown up for this webinar are people that you can look to who have a similar goal to you. Reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Several years ago, I had a friend who was a great blogger, and I wanted to learn how to write better. And I thought, I'm sure she's too busy. She won't be able to do this and commit to this. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to her. And lo and behold, she was able to meet with me on Skype. We used to meet on Wednesday evenings for an hour and a half or two. And it really moved the needle forward for me to have somebody to talk it out with. We don't want you to look outside yourself for external affirmation, yet somebody can help shed some light on thoughts that you're having. So don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask for help.
Don't forget to celebrate all the things, however you want to celebrate what you showed up today to do and what you got accomplished. That's what we want you to celebrate. If you want a little bit of a deeper dive, we are hosting an in-person workshop January 26th from 9 to 11:30 a.m. in person at Workshop Local in Homewood. It's $75. Our feedback survey will have an opportunity for you to share your email address with us if you're interested in that, and then we can get some information back out to you, or you can follow Workshop Local on social media. One last thing to remember, save the date, March 16th and 17th is the Momentum Leadership Conference at the BJCC, and we would love to see each of you there. There are several topics that we talked about today that we'll have breakout facilitators talking about at the conference. So we hope that we see you there. Thank you so much for participating today. We hope to see you in January, and we know that 2022 is going to be a great year for you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. This has been a real joy for us.